TitleMatchNetwork.com.
How did you wind up in AWA?
There's nothing else left.
Right.
Yeah, we're just kind of at the Crockett. I think Georgia was, probably maybe even going, but there was two organizations left of the territories at that time. It was the Crockett's,
right,
and then there was Gagne, and maybe some remnants somewhere that I never dealt with. But Vern Gagne was an old wrestler. He was an old Olympic wrestler. He liked wrestling. I think we did a couple of combination shows when the Crockett's and Vern tried to run together, like in the Meadowlands in Jersey and some things.
Steve Flair.
And, my name just got around, but it was hard to get in the AWA. There was a waiting list. It was really a great territory to work. You'd make a bunch of money all winter. The summer months, Vern hardly ran because it was not a good time to run, but you did TVs.
Right.
So you had a lot of time off in the summers, but you still made TVs. But then all winter you'd make some real good money. But it just kind of, it just was a territory I wasn't at. I had a name, and I wasn't, the Carolinas a little bit. So I made some calls. And I think I was talking to maybe Greg Gagne once. He says, we got to bring you in. Yeah. So then they brought me in, and I had a couple of matches, and because I could wrestle and do what they liked, I found a home there.
What are your thoughts on Stan Hansen and how things turned out with him in the AWA title?
Stan was all right. I'm not sure what happened. Did he take off with the belt too?
Yeah, he did something like
Lawler did too.
I heard what he did is when they did the no-show, he kept the belt, and then he took the belt outside and he ran it over with his car like 20 times and then sent the belt back to Vern, all destroyed.
Well, that was Lawler.
Yeah, but Hansen did
Hansen might have done it too. I'm not sure what the deal was. I know Lawler had the belt once. When I came in the first time, they wanted me to work with Lawler.
Right.
But then by the time I got there, Lawler took off. Huh. And he wouldn't send the belt back. So Vern had to threaten to sue him. So I think Jerry took a hammer and dented it all up. Okay, good. Huh. And then send it back. And so that's why my belt, the World Championship belt I had, was a different one. It was actually a remake of the first belt ever made. It looked like a police badge because the first one was made by the Boston Police Gazette for Frank Muldoon in the 1800s or something. So Vern copied it. But, Lawler did that. I think I remember something about Stan, but I really don't know. Again, Stan had kind of a attitude problem, too, sometimes. I really don't know why. It's like Bill Watts said. Some of you guys wouldn't be in this business if we did it right.
What are your memories of your series of matches with Nick Bockwinkel?
Oh, Nicky. Well, they were classic. Nick was very smooth. He was great in the ring. And, being in the ring with Nick was a night off. And our styles, worked together perfect. The only thing about Nick, it was great work with him. The only thing about Nick at the time was it was too long already. When I was there, and I think one of the problems AWA had, I was there, and they had some younger guys that, coming up like Kurt Hennig, and the Warriors were kind of in and out, and there was some other guys, McMahon already took, Jesse and Bobby and Hulk and some others. But really, Nick it was already too much Nick at that time. Nick was already getting too old. It was too much Greg by himself. It was time,
right.
to pass the torches and change things where I shouldn't have been working with Nick, so much. At first it was great, but then it got to where, if you watch the WWE, you got a whole bunch of new guys. If you watch this show, it's Nick for the last 20 years, but he's 40-some years old. So there was it was great, but, it could have been better business-wise.
What are your memories of the Midnight Rockers? Did you see potential in Shawn Michaels?
You know what? It was funny. It was... Jannetty was the one that had more of the personality when the Rockers came around. Shawn was a nice kid, but he was kind of the quiet kind of kid that was, working good. You really didn't pay much attention to Shawn because Jannetty was the one that he was the outgoing one. And really the one that kind of had more charisma of the team. And just Marty, I think, just kind of kept going off the deep end.
Right.
And Shawn just kept going. Shawn became a great worker, but when they first came out, he was kind of the quiet one of the two. And Jannetty was really the one that got more of the attention and was more flamboyant, but was more in outer space.
Huh. What are your memories of your series of matches with Sgt Slaughter?
The Sarge. Had one in Chicago where Bockwinkel gave it a 10. Well, Sarge was easy. It was, Sarge was a character. And so when a character gets over, when the G.I. Joe stuff was popular back then and all that, it was easy to work with. It was like, and Sarge for a big guy, could do some things too, but it was easy. I mean, when you work with someone that's over, it's easy.
Right.
So Sarge was over, so, it was easy. Plus we knew each other and did matches, back in the old WWWF days. So by the time the AWA days rolled around, it was nights off. In fact, anybody who wrestled in those days, whether it was Saito or Harley Race or Nikita Koloff or Slaughter or Bockwinkel, these guys were like pros.
Right.
And it was so easy. Today I watch these guys and they got a 10-minute match and they're back there for 3 hours. They're going through 3 squirt bottles of water just to talk over the stuff. What are you talking about? I got to ring with some guy and he goes, "What are we doing?" I said, "Well, I'll schoolboy you." "Oh, then what?" "Well, that's it." "What about the rest of the match?" "Then don't worry about it." Well, they can't fathom. But those guys were pros. It was.
Is it true that when Dale Gagne revived the AWA, he offered you the belt and you declined?
I don't remember that. What year was this?
I'm not sure. Recently, right?
Recently?
Dale Gagne?
Yeah, probably.
I'm not sure what year it was.
It was
Maybe 89, maybe.
89.
Was it?
I think because it died, AWA went out of business, 90?
90-ish, maybe?
Yeah, maybe 91. 90.
See, I don't know the whole story. I know, Dale Gagner was kind of a little local Weasley hustler for some of the time.
Right.
And then he was calling himself Dale Gagne, which is not his name.
Huh.
And he was running shows around there with AWA signs and names. Vern tried to sue him for a while or have him stop it, because he still owned the name for some years, but it was like so Mickey Mouse, and Dale's got no money. So it was like,
What's the point?
What's the point? So, and but then I have no idea what went on with that. I just all I know is it wasn't that long ago, maybe a year or so. I don't know if I talked to Steve Corino or Dale Gagner for a little bit, saying something about Steve Corino is now the AWA champion. They're going to do something, or some group in Japan wanted to do something with the AWA.
Right.
So I said, well, we'll talk about it. Give me a call back. Let me know what kind of money we're talking about. And then I never heard from anybody. So, no dough, no show.
With no dough.
No dough.
No dough.
TitleMatchNetwork.com